Chapter 9, Section 3 and 4. Today we're going to talk about interactions at plate boundaries. The first type of boundary is a divergent boundary, and we talked about what a divergent boundary is, where you have two plates pulling apart. We have ocean ridges. This is an elevated zone on the floor of all major ocean basins. And this ridge is pulling apart from itself, and new ocean crust is forming. So as you can see here in this image, it's usually at a seafloor volcano. We also have rift valleys. These are deep faulted structures, and they can develop on the seafloor or on land. And again, usually plates being separated when magma is intruding and creating new crust or new lithosphere. The East African Rift Valley is a great example. And then we have seafloor spreading. And this is similar to oceanic ridges, but again, we're just producing new oceanic lithosphere here. We also have what's known as a spreading center. So continental rifts. So you have a continent that can split into two or more smaller segments. So you can see here in this image, it starts out as some uplifting, then you have the rift, and then you have that area that usually fills in with water. And again, the East African Rift Valley is a great example for a divergent plate boundary. And this is an image. Convergent boundaries, so these are ones that are coming together. Usually we'll have a subduction zone. That's when one plate is forced down beneath a second plate. And that can happen in three different ways. We can have it between oceanic crust and oceanic crust, so before it ever gets to the shore, causing an oceanic trench. We can have it here, oceanic crust, and right up against the shoreline, which causes a continental trench, and usually a volcanic island or volcanic arc will be seen with that. Or you can have it between two continental crusts. And again, we're subducting, and then in this case, mountain ranges can be formed. So again, oceanic continental, the ocean slab sinks to the asthenosphere. You have pockets of magma that's rising. The continental volcanic arcs. Oceanic lithosphere goes beneath the continent. The Andes, the Cascades, and the Sierra Nevadas, those are examples. And then oceanic, two slabs of ocean or oceanic continental crust will converge. One goes beneath the other, and you can form volcanoes on the ocean floor. And that's where you get volcanic island arcs. So example, the Aleutian Islands, the Mariana Islands, and the Tonga Islands. You can see that here. And last, continental, two subducting continental plates. So the Himalayas, like you saw in the video, colliding continents. That is what's being produced here. So when India collided with Eurasia, that's where we have our Himalayan. It was a convergent boundary of continental. The third type is transform fault boundaries. So you have two plates that grind past each other, but they don't destroy the lithosphere. So the crust and the upper mantle are still contained. So things may move side to side. So for instance, before here you can see there was an active line that was together, and then when it shifted because of the transform fault boundary, it shifted it apart. And again here. Now, some evidence for plate tectonics, paleomagnetism, that's the natural magnetism that certain rocks do have. And those are used to determine the location of magnetic poles. So we have what's known as normal polarity. So that means that the rocks are showing the same magnetism as the present magnetic field. So these will point to our true north. And then we have reverse polarity, and they show the opposite magnetism as the current magnetic field. So basically what this is a switch of the magnetic field on Earth. So what is now north was once known as being south. So polarity of the ocean crust, you can see here, the normal magnetism is the yellow, the reverse magnetism is the red. So it has shifted from being normal, reversing itself, and then now it's back to being normal again. Other evidence, ocean drilling. Your youngest ocean crust is at the ridge. So in the middle of the ocean where that plate is, where it's diverging, that is your youngest crust. So that means as it's getting pushed out, your oldest crust is right up against your continental margins. So on your seasides. You can see that here. So everything that's in red, that's your youngest. Everything that's in the blue or the green, that's the oldest material. Earthquake patterns, there's a link between very deep earthquakes and ocean trenches. So keep that in mind as far as subduction zones go. And as you can see here, all of these little white dots represent great areas of earthquakes. And that's what's called the Ring of Fire. We also have what's known as hotspots. It's a concentration of heat where the mantle will produce magma that rises to the Earth's surface and creates volcanoes. So hotspots, think of Hawaii and all of those islands. It is because that plate is moving. You have one spot of heat, and then everything else has shifted from there. So that means the current hotspot has been there for quite a while because that is the biggest and the most active. So today, read 9.3 and 9.4 in the Earth Science book and do the interactions at plate boundaries handout. Please don't forget to water your plants today.